Good morning, all. In the last class, we have seen the concepts of static binding, dynamic binding, how to convert one object to another object, that is object typecasting. Then we have seen the concept of super keyword, how to use at variable level, how to use at method level, and how to use at constructor level. Okay, fine. So whenever you are writing the constructors, like for example, I am taking one class A and I am taking one class B, which is inheriting the features of class A. Features of class A. Okay, fine. Even though you are not writing any kind of constructor, it contains the system defined default constructor. Similarly, even though you are not writing any kind of constructor, it contains a system default constructor, that is B. That is B. Okay, fine. Whenever you create an object of bottommost derived class in the program driver, automatically memory will be allocated for topmost base class, and it will allocate for the next base class, like this it will allocate. And what about the execution? Execution will starts from bottommost derived class. Constructor's execution will be from bottommost derived class, but allocation of the memory from topmost derived class. Okay, fine. But actual execution, it is from top to bottom. Okay, I mean, see, even though you are not writing any kind of constructor like B, it contains a default constructor B, and it contains a default like this. Super. Like when we see the concept of variables, is in the keyword, this keyword, what will happen? Even though you are not writing it as current class variable, it will implicitly add that as this dot here, that we have seen the example also. Similarly, even though you are not writing anything in the one kind of constructor, one default constructor, it will implicitly invoke the superclass constructor. So it will start executing. So constructors will call from bottom to top. Okay. So B constructor will call this one, and it will call what? Superclass constructor. It will call this class constructor, and it will start executing from that superclass constructor onwards. Okay. So this is the important point that you have to know. Okay. Fine. Now let's see examples how we'll use the super keyword at the various level. Hmm. I have taken simple example, right? Yes, I will take the same example and I will see here. There is a class BC which contains some variable int I, right? And there is a class debug okay, method, there is no problem. I am just making it as there. Int I here also one int I. Here I have initialized one I value 5. Here I have initialized I value as 6. When I call this m method, I want to display something like int c equal to I want to display some of those base class I and plus present class I. Then I can write like base class I mean direct class I can write like I plus. Instead, if you want, you can write like this dot I plus. If you want to call super class I, then super dot I. M method in DC class, some segment I have written C. Okay, through this DC DOBC object, I can call that M method. Okay, you need to get the answer as 11. Will compile. Will compile Java space DOBC. You get the answer as M method in DC class is 11. Okay, see, if you didn't return anything here, answer is 12. You will get. Fully compiled, you'll get the answer as 12. Okay, what is the meaning of this one? If you are not writing, if you are not saying to the compiler that please use base class value variable, then it will simply consider the derived class I only. If you want to make it explicit, then I will write like super dot I. If I write like here super dot I, hmm, super dot I, then you will get the answer of 10. Fantastic. Yes, right? Yes. Now, one important point I want to conclude here. Class something like J. Here I have one more int I, which value is 1. Which value is 1. And if you are trying to access like this, super dot I, then this is an incorrect one. Incorrect. Meaning that super keyword can be applicable at only base class to derived class. That's it. You cannot able to call super base class to normal derived class. See, you will get an error. Illegal start of expense, some error you will get. Okay, now. So that is the reason you have to call with respect to uh, base class and a derived class. That's it. This is what with respect to this DOBC class. This is super class. So it cannot possible. Okay. So this is the program for super at variable level. Okay. Now I want to show super at method level. Void m method. Void m method. Here I would like to write m method in PC class. I am removing this. Okay, I am also removing this. M method in DC class. M method in DC class. Okay, fine. When I call with respect to DOBC class, M method, you will get M method in DC class. Now, if I want to call that super class method, then I can write like hmm, super dot m method. Super dot m method. See guys, if you are not writing here super dot m method, what will happen is you will get an error. You will get an error. That is this m method will assume that current class m I need to call. That it is recursive process. Once it make recursive until you will get a stack overflow error. So to not to make that, I want to make use of this one. Then I will go for super dot m method. Hmm? Yes. M method in DC class and M method in BC class. If you write like this first, there is no problem. First, you'll get M method in BC class, then M method in DC class. You'll get the answer. Okay, now, fine. Now let's see at constructor level. At constructor level. Okay, fine. I'm leaving this method as it is. I am making the constructor BC constructor. Hmm. BC constructor. Here I am defining DOBC constructor. DOBC constructor. Okay, here I want to show one thing. First, as I said, right? Constructor will start executing from bottom to top, but actual execution starts from top to bottom, right? For that, whatever the constructor that I have written here, method I have written, that will be displayed. See here, I will write base class constructor. I'll write here as derived class constructor. Derived class constructor. I don't want to make call to these all things. Once an object is created, corresponding constructor will be executed. Corresponding constructor will be the object of DOBC is created. Object once immediately it is going to call DOBC constructor. Immediate DOBC constructor, and I said that every constructor having a default every constructor is going to call what? Default is superclass constructor is going to call. So even though you are writing here super like this, or you are not writing, it will call directly its superclass constructor. Meaning that this super keyword is also used for to communicate between base class constructor and superclass constructor. Okay, now let's see what is the answer we'll get. We'll get the answer as base class constructor first, then derived class constructor, because the first line is implicitly it is going to write super method. See, first base class constructor, then derived class. Base class constructor, then derived class constructor. So if you are writing like super, now also you'll get the same answer. Base class constructor and derived class constructor. Okay. Now my requirement is I want to call parameters constructor BC of int a comma int b, a comma b, to make here base class parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. Okay, fine. Now it will call. It won't call that one. We'll get only base class constructor and derived class constructor. If I want to call a parameterized constructor, you have to call explicitly. I will go for the diagram. Or I will explain one by one more. First, see, first I have declared a derived class default constructor. In that, I am writing a super keyword. If you are writing or not writing, there is no problem. You will get successful. You get successful. Now, what I am doing is I have declared a base class parameters constructor. Now I am trying to call with respect to a default constructor. Now what I will do here, I can call 5 comma 6. 5 comma 6. What it is going to call? It is going to call superclass constructor which is accepting parameters, two parameters. Two parameters. Right? Base class parameters constructor and derived class constructor. Yes. If I write like this 5 comma 6 comma 7, now we will get an error because there is no constructor defined which is accepting three parameters. See what happened? No suitable constructor found for BC. Yes. Now what I'm doing is I'm removing this one, making control X and control S. Now once you did like this, see here, read like this. Now also there is no problem. Okay, see what happened? Main method starts execution, base class parameters constructor call, and derived class constructor. Derived class constructor. Now what I will do is I won't write anything here. I won't write anything. Now see example. Let's execute. We'll get what error. Constructor BC in class BC cannot apply to given type. Cannot be applied to given type. What is the error that you are getting here? Right? While explaining the concept of constructor, also I said there is a constructor. There is a class C. There I have defined a parameters constructor which is accepting two parameters, and I have created an object for C equal to new c of new c of 5 comma 6, there is no problem, there is no problem. But if you are creating an object with respect to an empty constructor, then you will get an error or not. The same principle will be applied here. It is trying to when there is a parameters constructor in the base class and you are trying to call a default constructor from the derived class, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to define base class constructor also. Sorry, if I made like control z, you will get the answer. Okay, fine, no problem. I will write bc of base class constructor. Base class constructor. Now you won't get any error because we defined. That is explicitly how to define. Okay. Now from derived class I did, right? Yes. I want to call with respect to parameters constructor. The same thing. Here you can call super. You can call super directly, so that it is going to execute which parameter? It is going to execute the constructor which is not accepting any parameters. If you are writing something like 5 comma 6, it is going to accept base class parameters constructor. It is going to call. Okay, fine. What happened? Constructor DOBC is already defined in the class DOBC. Okay, I already defined right here. It is int a comma int a comma int b. Okay, when it is going to call this constructor, whenever you pass some kind of values, some values like 5 comma 6 again, then it is going to execute this constructor. Then this constructor will in turn call base class parameters constructor. You will get base class parameter constructor as answer. Main method start executing and main method start execution and base class parameters constructor, you got the answer. Okay, fine. Now I will do one thing here. I will write one thing here. I'm going to write super off. I'm going to write super. Will it execute? What happened? Call to super must be first statement in constructor, and it is showing at line number 30. What is the use of super keyword? Super keyword used for to establish communication between constructors. To establish communication between constructors, we cannot able to use super keyword at methods. That is important point. You have to note that. I mean, this super keyword, you have super method which you have to use at inside constructors only. Inside constructors only. If you are using anywhere, then you will get an error. Okay. Now I'll show one more thing. So I am getting error here. What about this keyword? See, this keyword. This keyword means it is used to point to the current class instance. Current. It is going to refer to the current class methods. Okay. Right here also we'll have the default. It is going to call this, and it is going to call. If you want to call parameterized, you can call like this. Okay. What is the purpose of this one? It is used to call. Current class constructors. But super is used to call superclass constructors. Okay, now. Here I will make one thing. If I write like this, see, uh, let's see what is the output. Derived class constructor, derived class parameterized constructor. Call to see what is the error you got. Call to super must be first statement in constructor, meaning that whenever you are using whenever you are using a super method, you have to define as a first statement. This is also one more rule. It's also one more rule. And one more rule is you have to use inside constructors only. You have to use inside constructors only, but not somewhere. See, now I want to show, I want to call, this is, I make it as comment. This, if I make it as comment, here also I will make it as, to make it as comment also, you will get an answer, right? So that I am removing this timing. Okay. Now I will erase this. So why means in order to check the output, exact output. Okay, now I have created a constructor which is accepting two parameters 5 comma 6. So it is going to check for this one, and it is going to call which one, this keyword. This keyword means it is due to refer current class default constructor. What is current class default constructor? Derived class constructor, and then it is going to print derived class parameters constructor. Just constructor BC in BC cannot be applied to given types. Line number 18. What is the error you got? Actual and formal list different length. Okay, fine. Hmm. If I made constructor BC in BC class, 1 minute. Let me do 1 minute. Reason: actual and formal argument list different in length. Line number 18. Okay. I made a default constructor, and I have made one parameters constructor, and from this parameters constructor I am calling this class a default constructor. Okay. Yes. Here you need to define this in, as it is trying to call, right? Whenever you define a parameter constructor, you have to mention the default constructor also. Otherwise you will get error. See, even though we are not defining here a superclass default constructor, it will implicitly call, right, base class. Now let's check whether, right, it is rectified. Java space DOBC, right? Yes. Okay, I will show now clearly. First, I have called parameters constructor, which is DOBC. So it is going to go for this one in T comma BC. Then it is going to call what? Current class constructor. What is current class constructor? Current class default constructor. I am not passing any parameter. Then it is going to execute this one, derived class constructor. See, derived class constructor call is first implicit will have super method. Will have super method. So first it is going to get super method. Then it is going to call base class constructor. Yes, base class constructor got. Then we'll get then you will get derived class constructor. Then you will get derived class parameters constructor. Yes or no? Yes. Now I made this as at second line. Made this as second line. Now what will happen? See, you'll get another, right? Call to this must be first statement in constructors. Must be first statement in constructor. So what we can call, what we can conduct. So this method should also be the first statement in constructors, as well as hmm, first statement in constructors. Is it to call what? Current class constructors. Okay, fine. Uh, okay, can we use this super keyword and this keyword at static area? No. This super keyword should not use should not use at static area. Can we see? Can we write super and this simultaneously at one location? Yes, we can write. But if we write like this, write like mm, see, 1 minute. Confusing, some confusion here. See, guys, as I'm writing here, you are getting an error. You are getting an error. If I write like this, if I write like this, now you will get an error. What is that error? Super should be the first example. Let's see, call to super must be first statement in construct. So with this, what we can conclude? What we can conclude? Either only one should be there. If I write super fast, then this next, you will get an error, right? This should be first statement. If I write like this, you will get, I meaning that second statement is not allowed for super constructor and this one. Okay, meaning that these should not use at a time. These should not use at a time. But whereas coming to this keyword and super keyword, we can use at a time at any number of time. That example I have given, right? Hmm, I have given. I mean, I want to conclude the differences between uh, super keyword, this keyword, and super keyword method and this keyword method. What we can write? Okay, the super keyword used to refer superclass members. Used to refer superclass members. This keyword used to refer current class instant members. Current class instant members. Okay. This super constructor used to call default constructor of the superclass. Used to call default constructor of the super. I mean constructors of the superclass అనొచ్చు. Constructors of superclass. This is to call constructors of superclass. This is to call constructors of same class. Of same class. Okay. And you know, can I use these two simultaneously? No. I have to use only one at a time. To only one at a time. And that one also should be at first line. One should be at first line. What about this super comma, these keywords? I can use any number of times. Any number of times at anywhere. Anywhere except static area. Except static area. Okay, fine. So these are the some of the differences between this super keyword, this keyword, and super method and this method. Okay. So I hope you understood clearly. Thank you.